Today I want to talk about being in prayer versus doing more prayer. This is something that I commonly hear. It's something I just talked to somebody about recently. Is most people, when they try to be more holy, when they want to grow in their prayer life, they start to do more stuff. They start to do more things. They do more devotions. They read more scripture. They pray the rosary more. They'll do the liturgy of the hours. Sometimes they'll do a lot of different things. I'm a convert, and shortly after I converted, I had new convertitis, and I did that all the time. Like, I was praying all 5 hours of the liturgy of the hours, sometimes 7 hours, praying a rosary every day, praying other devotions and personal prayers every day, and I was doing a lot of stuff, which isn't all bad. Like, we see that throughout the history of the church, that people have different prayer rules and rules of life. And those structures that are in place are really important. But let's not confuse that with intimacy with God. Prayer, according to Pope Benedict XVI, is a way of being with God before it's a set of practices and things we do. It's a manner of being with Him. Because relationship is about being, it's not about doing, right? It's about being. My wife wants me to be with her, right? An example of this, when we had our second child, we went to the hospital at maybe 10 o'clock one night, and it wasn't till 1 o'clock the next day that she gave birth to Penelope. And I remember that whole process. I was so exhausted. I was so tired. And she was too, right? She's trying to give birth to a baby. And so she's sitting in a tub. She is laboring, and then she'd fall asleep. And when she passed out, I would pass out. I would just nod out right there, right? And then she'd wake up, and I'd pop up and be present to her again. And we had a doula involved. And the doula would come and get her ice and these ice packs and was totally taking care of her, right? And I felt like the biggest schlup. Like, I felt so lazy and incompetent, and like I wasn't doing anything. So we have the baby's amazing, great, and everything else. Well, the doula comes back a couple weeks later, a week or two later, I can't remember exactly, to see how things went. And my wife was like, "Oh my God, Matt, you are so amazing." I'm sitting there like, what? Like, what did I do? Like, I didn't do anything. I fell asleep when you were asleep. I didn't do anything. And she's like, "Oh, you did exactly what you were supposed to do. You were there with me. You were my rock. You were my stability while I was laboring," right? And one of the things that taught me is that relationship really is about being. It's not about doing. The doula did her role, right? But her role was a service-oriented role. Sometimes it's easy to be service-oriented towards people because then it's performance-based, right? It's utilitarian, which is consistent with our culture. Everything's utilitarian. It's not about being. And most of us are so insecure about who we are, and are we good enough, and are we actually good, or are we bad creatures, that we have a hard time just being there with somebody. But that's what prayer is all about. It's about being. Just like this relationship with my wife, or anybody else for that matter. And we all have good bullshit detectors, right? We know when somebody wants something from us. We bought a van a few months back, and we went to the normal dealership we always go to. I've tattooed a lot of the guys that are on staff there. I know them. I've known them for years. And they hook us up, and they do the best we can. And it's always a great interaction because we know them. We spend time with them. You know, the sale is the sale, and they do what they can, but it's just a good experience all around. Well, there was a specific van at another lot that we went to, and my wife dropped me off. The salesman comes up to me, and within 30 seconds, I knew he didn't care about me. What he wanted was my money, right, and my wife's money. That's all he wanted from us. And so we know that about people. We know when they're after something, and we don't like those people. Women don't like a guy who's with them because they want sex, right? Men don't like a woman who's with him because she wants money, right? Or anything like that. And so this is prayer. It's about relationship. It's about being with. So Pope Benedict then goes on to say that prayer is pure receptivity to God's grace. So this manner of being with God in prayer is open, receptive, vulnerable. And the Catechism says we're all beggars before God. And how is a beggar positioned? A beggar has their hands out and they're begging. They want something, right? They're intensely interested in receiving from the one they're begging from. Father, please give me what I need. So-and-so, please give me what I need. And they're expectant, and their need is laid bare, right? And they're ready to receive. And that's what it means, the manner of being with God. And so when we're with him, we're all beggars before God, and we need to be honest, we need to be open as we are, right now, in this moment, as you are. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like being more real and more honest and sharing more with him, and then listening to what he has in return. So if you want to grow into deeper intimacy with God, it's not about praying more beads. It's not about more devotions, novenas, or anything like that. It's about being more real with him, more specific and more detailed about where you're at right now. That's the thing that's going to start intimacy.